Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik from RazorEmporium.com today to do a comparison shave of colossal proportions. Cartridge razors versus double-edged razors. Let's get started. Okay, well, I'm getting lathered up here. I feel a little bit like Harvey Dent from Batman. I'm gonna be doing a two-face approach. So we figured, why just talk about the benefits of a double-edged razor when really half of the great thing about traditional wet shaving is making a great lather, using a brush to exfoliate, to lift up the hair in the process, to really build the lather into your beard. Whereas on the other half of my face, we're gonna use some canned goo, as it's called. This is Edge, not a sponsor. So we wanted to use something that your everyday man going to the grocery store would find. I am going to use, my face is wet, so it is wet shaving over here. I'm going to do what most guys do and just smear it on with my fingers. And I guess I'm sort of working it in a little bit. As much as you can. So we're going to be comparing a traditional double-edge shave. We use Parasso White for sensitive skin, pre-shave and soap. And we have a Pulse Silver blade loaded up into a Gillette Fat Handle Tech from the 40s. And for our other half of the shave, we're going to be using kind of a generic 3-blade cartridge razor, and this is from the local CVS. It does say made in USA at the bottom, so I'm assuming that this is Persona, simply because I don't know of another company making disposable razors in the USA. So it feels like it's rubber / plastic, pretty lightweight. It's got 3 blades. It looks like it has some aloe comfort strips across the top. Truth be told, I'm not even exaggerating. It's probably been a decade since I've used a cartridge razor. I used to use a Sensor or a Mach 3. I used a Fusion, I guess, a few times before I made the switch to double edge, but that's as long as it's been, so it'll be a very unbiased comparison since I haven't done it for so long. So we're gonna get started with our double edge on our right side of the face. Well, as I've come to expect, smooth and silky from the double-edged razor. We got a comment recently on one of our videos about my skin stretching, of why I'm doing skin stretching even with a double-edged razor. I found it makes a difference. I learned it when I was straight razor shaving a lot, still do occasionally. And I don't necessarily do it on every stroke, but I've found for the big flat areas like your cheeks, your neck, it really can help to get a little closer. And since I'm somebody that does blade buffing anyways, instead of a lot of different passes, it really helps. Okay, so I got a couple strokes done on my cheek. Let's go with the old cartridge razor now. 10 years in the making. I am not exaggerating. That was a pull. That was not a nice, clean cut. And I probably have 2 or 3, 4 days of stubble. I feel like I have to drag it more than anything. It's it's definitely throwing me off that the harder I'm pushing, it's just kind of tugging more and not feeling really comfortable. Smoothness, I can definitely feel a little bit more stubble on this side versus this side. So it's not as close either. It's just kind of uncomfortable. I mean, in some ways it's quote unquote easier because it's kind of mindless, just pawing versus having to pay attention to the blade angle and kind of pressure I'm using. And see, it doesn't tug at all. It's so effortless. But at the same time, I feel like I'm in control with this razor. I know exactly what it's going to do. I guess it's almost like driving a manual transmission automobile versus an automatic. I really can control this, and I know when it's gonna, how it's gonna perform. Whereas this, I'm kind of at the mercy of it to do the job, and I don't really know, how it's gonna shift, I guess you could say. Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure if I'm gonna have any ingrown hairs on this side of my face. I'm also noticing trimming my sideburn. It's kind of wonky. So because I really can't see the edge or edges of this razor, it's leaving it kind of cockeyed. So clean that up with a double edge. Now, one thing both razors are suffering from, and this is just any kind of safety razor versus a straight edge, is clearing out the hair. On this 3-piece razor, it's super easy. I can just twist it open a little bit, get some space in there, and run it under the water, and it's cleared. This razor, it's definitely cleared up, but there's still some straggly hairs in there, and it's not as easy to clear out. There, now I straightened out my sideburn with a double edge. So back to the cartridge. So I shaved my goatee recently, just as, always good to try something new or start over kind of. So the areas of your chin pose a lot of angles, a lot of more contours. And I'm not finding this is easily kind of getting into those areas because it's kind of not lying exactly flat. I'm kind of also finding it because it clogs up so fast, and I'm having to kind of go over the area more and kind of like really go multiple times over the same area, whereas this, even with a little buffing, it's maybe 1 or 2 times. I'm not kind of going dun, like multiple times like I am with the cartridge. My lather is drying up a little bit. I've been sitting here talking so much. Let me just refresh this. And that's for both sides. It's always still going to be a problem if you're blabbing a bunch during a shave. Yeah, I feel like, especially my chin, double edges are so much more efficient. It's not getting clogged up. And I feel that because the actual surface area of kind of what's on your face is so much more narrow on this guy, that it can really go around every kind of little bump and curve so much more, whereas this requires a large amount of real estate to be flat at the same time to really work. When you're doing your chin, since I haven't done a lot of chin shaving on video before for you guys, it's always a good idea to make some crazy contortions with your mouth. There's really no other way of doing it. By stretching your jaw, you'll flatten things out, making it easier to shave. Let's try to do that same area with the cartridge over the chin. Oh, it's tugging. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but because it's not exactly flat, it's kind of getting caught, and it feels like a tug. It doesn't feel comfortable. Like this feels like a clean slice. Like a deli slicer slicing through a hunk of meat. Sharp and efficient. The Cartridge Razor felt like it was just pulling on those areas where it wasn't very flat. Okay, one more area here. We'll just make sure we have an even comparison. Under the nose, I'll refresh this a little bit too with my blue goo. It smells funky too. Yeah, that's the other big thing, is that I'm not enjoying this half as much at all. First off, this smells like deodorant. It reminds me of 8th grade gym class, like the locker room. Whereas even the very mild smell from the Parasso is nice. It's refreshing. It's oatmeal, it has green tea, aloe vera. It's just easy, refresh, clean smelling. Doesn't smell like chemicals. So the nose can be a tricky area. I always found it's best to kind of attack it on angles. You can also move it out of the way. But again, having a slim profile head like this is great for getting into these little areas. Yeah, that's looking good. Now let's try the Cartridge Razor over here. Oh, I still can't get over the feel. It's been 10 years since I've used anything like this, and I'm just so much more used to a clean slice and not a tug. And yeah, this is all jammed up with hair. I'm trying to rinse it out. I mean, can you guys see that? After really rinsing it, still has a bunch of hair stuck up in the top, which is where I really need the first blade to do a lot of the work because it's the highest one up. Can you see that? Yeah, so trying to get up here, relying on that top blade, it makes me just want to push harder. Not good. And these little tiny kind of crevices of my upper lip, it doesn't really want to get in there as well. So I've had to go over that area probably twice as much as I did with the DE. And the end result is they both feel pretty similar, but it just was a lot more work and not as enjoyable at all. Okay, let's refresh the lather on the neck and finish this up. Now, we had somebody who had a question or comment recently about wet shaving versus traditional shaving. You know, traditional shaving is what I'm doing over here on the right side of my face. We're using a brush, we're using a double-edged razor, maybe a straight razor. But just because I'm using a cartridge and some foam with water added doesn't mean I'm not wet shaving over here. It's just not traditional. So I know we like to use those words almost interchangeably, these terms, but it's all wet shaving. It's just one traditional, because think about electric razors. Those are dry. I know some electrics are wet. Oh. Not enjoyable at all, guys. My neck is very sensitive, and even though these razors say they're for sensitive skin, it's pulling and tugging. It feels like every hair on my neck. The cheeks could really withstand it a lot more. It wasn't as... God, I don't even want to finish. I'm also having to really go over it a lot of times, and I'm having to rinse a lot, and it's almost cleared all the way out now, but you know, I think also the only saving grace here is that because I've had so many years experience with double edge, I'm almost kind of adapting some of the techniques. But if I was just your, you know, average shaver who had never done all this, I could see that just kind of going over and just, you know, trying to get it done more or less, and it wouldn't be enjoyable. And you probably end up doing some damage, getting some ingrown hairs. Oh. Yeah, not fun at all. I'm kind of wincing over here. I'm not trying to be dramatic, I'm really not, but it's not enjoyable. So how do we conclude this? I feel like I'm gonna need a good dose of aftershave balm after that experience. There is no comparison, and that's not just because I'm someone here that sells double-edged stuff or shaving accessories. I got involved with this business because I was a guy at home who had problems shaving with cartridges, and I just started a quest looking to see what the options were, and I found out about double-edged razors, and I got hooked. Revisiting cartridge razors now has only affirmed my position that it may be convenient, but or what you see around at the grocery stores or wherever, just kind of your habit, but it's not enjoyable, and it's not even cheap either. It's not like it can win the economy war. We got a pack of 4 of these for almost $8. So it's just around $2 a piece for these. And yeah, you can get probably a couple of shaves out of it, 5, 6, 7 shaves maybe, but they're not very good quality shaves. It wasn't enjoyable at all in comparison. Our double-edged razor here, you can get handles anywhere from 20 to maybe $80 tops on a really nice quality handle. Like, this is a vintage razor, it's been reconditioned, but it's still an awesome handle. It's gonna last forever. The blades are like 30 cents each. These are kind of premium blades too. There's cheaper blades out there. So there's no comparison with economy. I could not stand how flat and big this was. It was like a big paddle, like a big oar I was trying to fit around my face. If you look at how big that is, I mean, compared to how narrow and slim the actual blade exposure is coming off of here, there's no comparison. I could contour the double-edged razor all around the nooks and crannies of my face, whereas this, it was awkward. It was like trying to park a big 4x4 vehicle in a small parking spot. It was not fun at all. So now the lather. You know, over here I'm using a quality shaving soap that's in a dish. It's all product. There's no water added, nothing, you know, no chemicals, no propellants, no, you know, all these other agents that are added in. This should last me a good 6 months, 9 months, maybe even a year, depends on how frequently you shave, for 10 bucks. This can of goo over here is probably alone, if you know, this is a travel size, but a full size is gonna be in the $5, $6, $7 range as well. And you're gonna go through how many of these a year versus that? Smearing it off my fingers didn't really prepare my beard very well. You know, even an inexpensive brush, I think this is a $10 boar brush or $15 boar brush. This lifted up the hair, this exfoliated. It also made it a lot more enjoyable. It prepared my beard for a good shave. So the lather itself was so much better on this side of my face. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I have a little weeper already kind of starting to form from the cartridge. So it's not like you can't get a little nick with one. But also I see a lot of stubble, you know, left over on this side of my face. It's noticeable, the difference of how smooth one side is versus the other. It missed areas. I'm gonna have to go back and do touch-up versus the double-edged razor. So I don't really see the appeal. Again, I know that some of these things are convenient, but so is fast food. Fast food's convenient, but it doesn't mean it's the best thing for you or it's the most enjoyable experience of eating ever. It's usually done in a pinch, right? So I think if you're traveling, if you get your razor or something, I think, you know, this is a great choice if that's all you have at your disposal. But for at home, getting involved with shaving that's more enjoyable, that's more beneficial for your skin and your face, and more economical, just all around quality, I don't think there's really any comparison here. And I think I would have to say our double-edged razor beat the pants off of our Cartridge Razor 3-blade wonder over here. So I hope today's video has been enlightening. I hope it's been entertaining and enjoyable. If you have any questions, please leave us a comment. If you've done cartridge shaving and you have tried double edge and it's not for you, I want to hear from you. I want to actually hear from the naysayers that maybe, you know, have either never tried or won't want to try or whatever. But I really do think that if you get involved with double edge shaving, there's no turning back. Thank you so much for watching. Check out our YouTube channel for all other videos and education, and we'll see you next time. So just a little update. It's been 2 days. Yes, I got a haircut, but I also have got a crop of maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 little ingrown hairs on my neck. Kind of hard to see, but they are there. And that is the side of my face that we use the cartridge razor on. This side of my face, the right side, perfectly fine. In fact, historically, my right side of my face was the side that I used to get ingrown hairs on when I first started DE shaving. So I know it's not a technique thing here because this side's nice and clean. This side has a couple of them, and it's in this weird spot where my hair starts kind of curling and going sideways. So it's the trouble area for me. Also, last night I had a pretty big pimple on my chin. And again, I am not someone who usually gets many pimples at all. I kind of passed that phase of my life, but I couldn't help but feel it was right on my chin, and it was right after cartridge shaving a day and a half later. So kind of a little update, and it doesn't surprise me. A lot of people complain about these kind of things when they use cartridge razors, that they get ingrown hairs or pimples or razor rash, and I kind of show some of those results.